things are well. Thank you for asking about Samantha, and that's a nutshell for me, sir.
Well, a lot of them do, and then you have people that have, kind of been part of everything, and then they go off on their own way, and then they start denouncing you, and I've fought those denouncements for a long time. One of the one of the things that I found interesting is the recent Amy Comey Barrett decision.
Yeah.
If you read that article that she wrote, uh, and you read it very clearly, it distinguishes between the U.S. citizen who has no rights whatsoever, is not part of the corporate constitution. They distinguish it between the corporations of the United States, and now it's the White House Office Inc. And in the past, it's been USA Inc. and several other different corporations.
Uh-huh.
And it also distinguishes between the people and the people's sovereignty, and it distinguishes between the lowercase state versus the proper named state versus the all caps named state. And so basically, if you read her decision very, very carefully, and a lot of patriots were reading it, creating these videos on TikTok and YouTube, and just getting it wrong. They were mad. They were up in arms about this decision and how it's going to be one of the worst decisions ever. It's actually one of the best things that have ever happened to us, because it takes, in 1984, when our courts started going rogue, because our agencies were able to go rogue, because they were able to create policy to operate as law without going by law created by Congress and by a president. That's what allowed the U.S. government to get bloated, to absolutely go rogue, to come after the people more and more and more. And they've just escalated those war crimes since 1984, when that decision was created. Now, also, another thing she did is she said, we are in time of war right now. And because of the way she said it, how it was written, what she means is the people are at war with the corporate government.
Mm-hmm.
The corporate constitution's null and void. The corporate Bill of Rights doesn't even matter. It's basically the rule of law. Do no harm. Where is the injured party? If there's no injury, then there's no crime. And there are some great court cases that they've been putting through in the last few weeks, just one after another, that has strengthened the people's position. We need to learn as a people what that really means and how we can benefit from it, how we can hold them accountable. Because I'll tell you what, Monday morning, in fact, Sunday night, I was thinking to myself, the FBI agents are going to get up and they're going to go to their offices on Monday morning, and they're going to be met at the door and told to go into a big conference room, and they're all going to sit down, and their bosses are going to tell them, just pretend everything's normal as is. It's, until we figure out what all this means. Because that day, the FBI had no authority to do anything.
The day after a ruling, David, you're talking about?
After the ruling.
Uh-huh.
So when they showed up after the weekend to go to work, they had no authority. And that's every three-letter agency of government. They're not really government anyway. We've known that for a long time. I've been teaching it for years. They're private for-profit corporations acting and pretending to be government under the color of law, which is a fallacy. Not only is it a fallacy, it's a felony. It's a RICO Act. And they destroy the people pretending to be government. And that includes every one of these policy agents with the thin blue line and the blue lights. They're nothing more than policy agents for a private for-profit corporation. And they were operating under policy and not law. They stopped being law enforcement a long time ago. They stopped having the red lights on top of their cars and went to the blue. Many people who don't know what colors mean, what flags mean, what it means to be a corporate government with a Dun & Bradstreet number. They're no different than Taco Bell. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think, Davey, that we're seeing that. I mean, anywhere from people walking into courts and just simply, I ran into a guy a few years back named Tim, and we were at the, I don't know if you remember, but there was the whole Hagerstown, after the Canadians had their truckers convoy, we had one here in America, and I met this guy, and he was, I guess years prior, put in jail for something he didn't do, and he went to the jail, the library they had in the facility he was in, and he learned, and he said basically, if you can understand that the way they spell your license, they write your name on your license plate or on your government issued IDs in all capital letters, and if you can figure out that simple thing that you don't write your name that way, so they're not speaking to you, they're speaking to somebody else. It's that simple. And I remember when he told me that, that was 3 years ago or so, I guess now. I said that can't be, but as time unfolds, it seems like it's more and more truthful that we're dealing with like you're saying, a RICO Act government that.
Look at what they just did to you. Look at what they just did to you. They manufactured evidence. You didn't commit any crime. Where's the victim? Where's the harm? Right.
Yeah, I mean the other car that I collided with, and again, to me, it's surreal, but that's right. There was no one in the car. There was no victim. And I was even saying that, David. I was even saying, like, I didn't know what was happening, and they wanted me to show my insurance card. So I said, well, let me get it. And I think as I was trying to get it, and just after a collision and all this other stuff, next thing you know, I'm on a curb with the hands behind my back, and then I'm in central booking. And I said, these are misdemeanor crimes. How am I going to jail for failure to display an insurance card, which you and I know that's part of the same racket. I mean, from what I understand, we're allowed to operate a private automobile in the public if we want to, without a tag, without insurance, without all the things, the licenses and the government ID cards and all that stuff. So from the very jump, the whole thing, but you're right, there was no injured party. And I was even saying that, Dave, because enough of listening to you through the years, I said, where's the victim? Who's the victim? Property damage. Well, whose property is it? There was no one in the car. There was no car owner there. And I said, well, let me deal with this. Let me, and even David, it's even funny too, because the public defender was saying, well, it looks like, they might, she was asking me to plead it out. And I said, well, what are you basing that on?